Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Science of Brand Systems. Today, we have kind of an exciting one, pretty controversial right now in the world of creative artwork and design.
Oh, everybody's talking about it. So, of course, we have to talk about it.
We have to.
It's the generative AI images. It's quite exciting. Essentially, if you're familiar with like the way Google tag images, so when you search for a bird on Google, you can find a picture of a bird. Mm-hmm. They basically use that exact same pattern, A plus B equals C, just reverse it, to start creating imagery. So now, since they know, we've labeled all these images, bird or cloud or truck, we can now create that bird, cloud, or truck.
Just from a text-based prompt.
Yes. And then this applies to so many things like black and white imagery or oil painting or digital art, 3D render, Octane. So you can start utilizing all of those words to essentially paint your own picture.
And we've seen the community create some incredible work. So for those that are aware, there's two main companies right now leading the front in this effort. We've covered them on our Brand Royale. So if you haven't seen this episode, you should jump into it and learn a little bit about both of these companies. But Dall-E by OpenAI Labs and MidJourney.
Yes. There's also Google DeepMind, but they don't make their software available.
Yeah, I've only seen a few screenshots.
So we're just going to ignore them until they do so.
But the two that are open to the public, now that both of them are officially open to the public, let's discuss them and let's take a look at how this platform works and the kind of work that you can create on there and kind of the plus and minuses for creatives out there and for anybody honestly wanting to use this. The beauty is that this opens up the barrier now to non-creative, well, let's say non-creative. I don't like to say that because technically these people are creative in prompts and writing. So to people that are not visually kind of creative, they can actually now visualize ideas that they've had. So we're looking at a whole new world where poets and all of these people that are incredible with words can now create these beautiful visual landscapes.
Yeah, all those like terminologies, all those like art history classes are finally come to use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You could be like, I want a poster like the Bauhaus. But people that like, so this is actually a good thing for experts, because you kind of have to have the vocabulary to use it properly. But we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about what it takes. Yeah. Let's take a look at some of these platforms and let's jump into Dall-E and MidJourney and let's just look at kind of their experience and what they offer.
Yeah. So this is, we're looking at Dall-E right now. This is their website, Labs. It's kind of like their online web portal or playground, so to speak. They also just opened up their API. So for example, in our software and stuff like that, that's typically what we interface with. But you have this beautiful kind of way to have fun with it if you just like want to see what it can do.
Before we get into what it can do, let's take a look at the galleries and like what have people created on these so people can really get an understanding of what this is. So all of these are AI generated based on word prompts. So you can see on the hover, we can read some of these prompts such as an expressive oil painting of a basketball player dunking depicted as an explosion of a nebula. So you type in as much description as you can, and you can even slowly enter the style of art that you want, some of the eras, some of the things that you want it to do, and it starts really compiling all these things into compelling images. Look at that monster on the top right. It looks like something Pixar Studios would do.
It's little Monsters Inc. there.
Beautiful lighting, great colors.
The avocado chair has got to be a favorite, right? It's interesting. Like you can say, hey, I want a 3D render. Or I want...
this one was oil painting, this is Bauhaus style.
A Marilyn Monroe. So they're actually like identifying people. I've noticed it does this better with historical people that passed away. I think it's a little bit shy of using like modern imagery of real people.
Yeah.
But you see here like a photo of Michelangelo's sculpture David wearing a headphones DJing. That's pretty compelling.
The lighting, super dramatic,
like if you were like, hey, like new illustrator, I need you to like do a little illustration with this Michelangelo with headphones on. That'd be quite. And they came back with that. You'd be like, wow.
It would take you longer on Photoshop for sure than it took Dall-E to create this, and we'll get into the creation of it and how fast it is. But pretty impressive, and a variety of things, different styles, different subject matters. And if you notice, like for example, all these dogs and cats or anything that we've seen as humans is actually never an image just copy pasted. It's a compilation of a bunch of images together. So that dog, that Shiba, for example, is probably made of hundreds of different dogs' faces put together in one. And so there's a lot of interesting things in the way it collages these images. Even the styles, look at this, a comic book cover.
Yeah, there's no one Shiba Inu out there that could be like, that's me. It's supposedly like plagiarism free.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
supposedly that's what they say.
So in the same way that like humans, we would interpret things, right? Like we go through our days kind of learning what a dog is, and eventually when someone's like, hey Thomas, I need you to draw a picture of a dog, you can kind of do it. In the same way, AI is essentially doing the same thing that we were kind of doing. Yeah.
And it's interesting because you could give it the same prompt on Dall-E by two different people at different times, and it's going to give you different solutions. It's always going to give you different results. And so the beauty about this is that then you can make variations of each artwork, and you can start, being more descriptive in your prompt, and then the images will get better and better and better. So the more you use this, the more you understand what kind of prompts to write, the more crisp these images are going to come out, the closer to what you want they're going to come out. And again, this is based on, so these systems are fed hundreds of millions of images as their databases. So the results are only as good as the database that it's fed. And OpenAI and MidJourney are using different databases, and you can see it in the styles of what each is good at compared to the other. We'll dive into MidJourney a bit more artistic. It seems like they've used a creative community to really enhance their results at first. So a lot of creative imagery and a lot of really beautiful artwork being created. And Dall-E is pretty good at doing some really realistic stuff, which we've seen before.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I gotta say that like aesthetically, MidJourney is more consistent, right? And it plays back to exactly what you talked about in terms of like their trained data set. Mm-hmm. I think MidJourney was a lot more strict about like they probably only fed from like art databases like DeviantArt and stuff like that. Versus like I think Dall-E just was like 90% of the web, just let me soak it in.
Yeah, I think they use like 650 million images, something like that, as a data set. So pretty extensive, but it's using a bit more of like that Google image that you talked about, like kind of that approach versus like maybe narrowing down your data set to only images related to art for artists to create art, right? And so a bit different approaches, and you can tell also by the way they're interacting with their community and their audience. You can see that Dall-E is basically a search bar into a wide platform and a wide canvas, and you start creating your own gallery. And MidJourney is interfacing through Discord, which we'll look at in a second. But so this is something you've created now. Based on a prompt.
For sure. You really want to quick touch base on what you just talked about there with Dall-E. I think what they're going for is like corporate users, like almost B2B. And MidJourney seems like almost like B2C in the way they're approaching it. Like Dall-E's, they're going to do the whole API route. MidJourney's doing the whole Discord. Now they have like this cool web platform that they're starting to build out. But yeah, it's fascinating stuff. Yeah,
community versus almost like enterprise.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an interesting battle for them too.
And so like I guess the pros and cons there is one's more aesthetic, and then Dall-E is more good at, because it's a larger data set, identifying more things. So it'd be more specific to exactly what you're looking for. So this is I put in a cowboy lounging in a tropical temple in space. And I put vaporwave. So you could put like digital art, you could put 3D render. You can even say, hey, on a Canon lens 1.2 f-stop. Yeah,
you could get really detailed. Because the metadata in these images is like a lot of the cameras already produced that metadata when people upload these images. So
it creates that beautiful like background bokeh and stuff like that.
And it's like none of these are perfect, but now the good thing is you can pick one of them and you can make variations on that one, and it'll keep like refining the style and keep refining the images. And the good thing is for most people, like this is, for the creative process at least, the hardest part is coming up with a lot of ideas really quickly. This is really good at creating a lot of interesting compositions, a lot of interesting lighting scenarios, a lot of stories. Honestly, the one on the left is telling a very different story than the one on the right. And so it's really, really fascinating to see, all the variations that will create. And then it's up to the artist to come and take these and then maybe go on Photoshop and do another 10, 20, 30% of work before they present it, right? It's opening the door for a lot of interesting things that are going to happen in the creative world.
Like mood boards used to be like these random images. Now they can be really kind of specific and exciting. And like Dall-E especially, it's a little rough, I would say. But keep in mind, I think before we get too critical about, some of the hand doesn't look perfect. If you look at some of the stuff that they're kicking out a year ago and then what they're kicking out now. So, and then we actually have extremely high expectations that this would continue to progress. And it already has, like in the time period that we've been playing around with it, it went from kind of like, oh, it's a little cool, but like gimmicky to, wow, this is really turning into a potential tool for us that can help us in our creative process.
And now it's finally open to everyone. For a long time, it was restricted access. So, a long time.
Yeah.
Dall-E is from 2021, MidJourney, I think 2022 or something like that, or 2020, 2021. So they're fairly new companies, and they're building like a lot of audience really quickly. I think MidJourney, through their Discord approach, like managed to get a lot more people on the platform faster. So they're going to get a lot more data, I think, quickly. Dall-E is finally opening it up. So now it's only a matter of time before a lot of people on there, and the faster the AI is going to like get better and better and better, and they're going to start getting us a lot of interesting things to ponder on in the next few years.
Yeah, you want to check out? Should we check out the editing capability within Dall-E, or should we jump into Discord for MidJourney?
Let's do a MidJourney pass.
Okay.
Let's give a little bit of context to MidJourney. So MidJourney is interesting. Again, you could only sign up on their website. You had to wait, and they would have to invite you, and then when they invited you, they sent you a Discord invite. And so for those of you that don't know Discord, we have another brand royale that you can watch with Discord versus Slack that talks about Discord. But Discord is interesting. It's a little bit, it's just a chat kind of portal with your friends. You can talk online with a bunch of people, and now you create your prompts through Discord. So they give you a certain channel, and you can post your imagined prompt and start typing different prompts, and you'll see the whole community creating on the same kind of chat as you are. And so it's interesting to see what people are creating, what prompts they're using. And MidJourney has created now this huge community, as you can see here, of people that have been experimenting with this for months on end now. And you're getting some really, really, really incredible results. And to get started on MidJourney now, it's so easy because you get on there, you look at what prompts work, you look at how people are doing things, you look at the styles, you look at a lot of different things, and you start from there, and you can learn really, really quickly. They have a huge community support, people creating on Discord nonstop. So this is the part of the interface that gets very critical because it's not the best user experience, honestly, because as you're typing your prompt, things are popping up and down, and you get lost within this feed. But let's take a look at how this works, because I think this approach to product, like launching a product as a beta through Discord, is pretty genius. Like, really low overhead. You don't have to pay that much to have all these different Discord servers, and it's pretty sweet.
Well, like in terms of, you want people to use it properly and start to grow. You want to build out a community of kind of experts that like love and really know how to use the tool to its full potential. And they're able to do that more than Dall-E because they have these chats where they kind of discuss, hey, this is how you can improve your prompt to get these types of results versus these types of results. Here's like a philosophy behind it. Here's a few examples of how I did it this way, or how I created a Redshift type render.
And everything is open compared to Dall-E. Like everything you create is public. Like you can see people creating live what they're typing. So some people are typing some really embarrassing stuff. You can see the inside of people's minds now. But
a little bit more creepier.
But there's a lot of interesting stuff. I mean, let's take a look at this and show how this works. So you will type in a prompt by just typing, \imagine. You type in your prompt, you give it as much detail as possible. And then MidJourney will create 4 variations of that image. And based on those variations, you can either upscale or create variations of each one. So if I like that top left image, I can just create U1, which is going to be an upscaling version of that image, which is just going to give it more definition. And then variations, you can create different compositions. The AI will create different composition based on that one image that you liked. And you get to start really, really creating and seeing things that are really interesting. For the work on the community, nobody really talks about how many variations it takes them. Sometimes I'm sure dozens to hundreds of variations to get to a really, really good place. But pretty fascinating, all the work that is being created. A lot of dark stuff on MidJourney.
Yeah, I think it's kind of easy for people to kind of go that direction, which is interesting.
I wonder if the data set is also way more, science fiction and like a lot of entertainment design work.
Well, I think in the art world, right, we tend to have quite the bias towards creating kind of these dark worlds, so to speak, in the art world. I can kind of speak to that going to art school, same as you.
Yeah.
But you can. It's amazing how these are really kind of beautiful illustrations here. I mean, this would be tough for.
I mean, people have been in the industry for 15 years and they do this.
They can't.
They
can't do this,
but not at that speed.
Oh,
that opens up a whole new can of worm for like people looking at portfolios day in and day out that are just going to include MidJourney creations. Like the new portfolios for design schools or jobs now at lower levels is going to be full of MidJourney portfolios. And so people that hire now are going to have a much tougher job distinguishing, is this person really good because of that tool, or is this person really good because of the way they think and the way they generate their work? And
Oh
so
yeah.
that's going to become the next huge questions for people hiring creatives in the near future.
And then these are kind of beautiful kind of graphical designs and stuff like that too. It's worth noting that, this is not limited to just these kind of imagery. If I search for like logos, for example, you'll see people that are generating logos, like 3D rendering, sketch style, and different variations that they kind of prefer. So you can see a future where you'd be taking a look at, hey, I need a music festival poster next week. Let me generate a bunch. And then if you have the expertise, take it to that next level.
I mean, all these are posters. Like, think about it. Anybody can use any of these that you see on the screen as posters. And that's what's incredible. It's
compositionally, color-wise, and different things like that. It's really quite interesting to take a look at. So you can also search their community too. I mean, that's one thing, right? Like, I don't know if there's any way to create imagery in private within MidJourney.
I'm not sure. I think you can if you pay the extra amount.
Oh, you do? Okay, so if you pay the extra, that's how they get you.
You might be able to get it. Well, I mean, now they're all on subscription tier servicing and stuff like that. So everybody will have to, at some point pay for, unless you want. You can only create 200 prompts or something like that, or less than that.
Got it. So take a look at this prompt. The most epic, detailed, gold-decorated, beautiful medieval armor to give us hope that life is worth living in the epic Death Royale hall in the psychedelic style of Iseo Andrews. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Benoit, if you can fix that for me.
Oh, and then you can...
And he put like red accent, upscale, and different things.
So interesting, like, and this is not really well written, but imagine like poets writing stuff on this, and writers, and the incredible, they won't even have to hire artists to create their books anymore.
Yeah, that wasn't a great prompt, right? Like if someone...
That was not, that's my point.
Like if someone,
but look at the
as an artist, if someone came to you and was like, Sho, I need a painting.
This is my brief.
And this is my brief. I'd be like, get out of here, man. Like,
and so like this is where like the language and the interface and the conversation between the user and the AI is going to become quite fascinating, I think, in the near future. Like, imagine J.R.R. Tolkien writing Lord of the Rings and just being able to type in his prompts in here.
Mm-hmm.
Creating battle scenes and like epic. Like,
the
actual vision of the writer is now literally on paper, and it's quite crazy.
I bet you if I looked up Lord of the Rings on here, people have created like interesting. That's like storyboards, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like if you were like a storyboard artist and you're like, hey, imagine if it was a castle, and then you don't have to wait 2 or 3 days to like create these matte paintings.
And we've seen people now that are like making almost they're making full animated movies, because you can now just like blend one painting into another by changing the prompts, and people are now creating full animated movies using just AI created.
Yeah. We have friends that are creating storyboards and stuff.
It's incredible.
Like, it is changing the game. And like, even imagine like you just needed a background for your Photoshop file, and you could just describe it, generate it for yourself, put in the background, blur it out a little bit. I mean, this is ready to use.
It's going to take a bit of time before we have enough data set and enough images built to understand like the biases built in these type of softwares, to understand like, are the styles really like a really small amount of styles that have been like kind of curated by the people behind the AI to create these data sets. And if so, like, what art is going to come out of it? Because I think we're going to start seeing emerging patterns of like different styles of art and different just different, the same type of art and the same type of prompts, I think, slowly are going to start emerging into groups of people. Just like on Instagram, you have Instagrams that just post the exact same photos of travel or whatever it is. I think we're going to start seeing like a lot of like MidJourney groups and pools of people that are just naturally, or because of the biases in the software, create the exact same prompts and some of the similar artwork.
Yeah, it's going to be bizarre. It's going to be like the future art studio, you know?
It's so crazy to think about. All right. That is...
Yeah, this is interesting, right? Hermione Granger, screenshot from Lord of the Rings or something like that. So they're basically... I mean, Hermione Granger isn't even in Lord of the Rings. So this AI is just taking all the punches. It's like...
Doesn't give me any Lord of the Rings vibe yet, but at least...
Whatever terrible, prompt that you give me. Wolverine X-Men in the Lord of the Rings. It's a bit bizarre, but I don't hate it. You know, what is going on with that one down there? I've noticed the AI is still trying to figure out faces.
Yeah.
I think it's because the AI has to be very, very careful about like producing an image that actually really does look like someone real. Because like if you're like, oh yeah, the AI found an image of me and created a really close version of myself.
A few good faces when they're really stylized, they work really well. A bit more realistic portraits, we've seen a bit harder time creating realistic portraits. But that takes about 20 minutes to fix on Photoshop and like balance out the image and stuff. And it's still, the lighting is incredible. Like it's really interesting. They pick some really strong, like a lot of the design rules feel like they've been built in this. And the more you want to use this, you know, the more you want to start using these tools and refine what the prompts are and what these things are, then you become a real creative director and a master at like kind of refining this visual work that comes out.
I took some, you know, we took illustration courses at Art Center. Like, if someone walked in with this, I would lose my mind.
Speaking of which,
I would just like drop my paintbrush and just be like, "What just happened?" And then if he was like, "Yeah, this was like one of like 100 that I produced last night, and I thought this one was the best,"
but that's the
I would just walk out.
Homework is going to be done the night before, and they're going to show up on the wall, and
they're just going to paint over it.
Yeah,
you're going to print over it, or you're going to project onto the canvas, and you're just going to like paint over it.
Teachers won't know if.
And your teachers are going to be like, "Whoa." Yeah.
So speaking of which, let's go into, we have a fun little game planned for this segment now. We're going to look at some generated AI or not images, and we're going to have to figure out if they are AI or not. Well, I'm going to have to figure out because Sho created them. So let's switch over to that.
I created these images a while ago, so I feel like now it's even better. So we're going to have to do this again. But so consider this like the easy version, so to speak.
All right.
I also put everything into a circle instead of a square, so a little bit less obvious, you know. Also, so Dall-E, they kind of watermark their images with a little color swatch at the bottom. Get rid of that.
All right, let's take a look. AI or not? Ooh.
What you think?
Man, this is tough. I'll say AI.
Yeah.
Just because the eyes. That's the only thing that like throws me off a little bit.
I'm with you.
I feel like an artist would have balanced out the eyes and the colors and stuff like that, and the lighting potentially a little bit.
Yeah, you got that right. I completely agree with you. You can also kind of tell in the ears and different things like that. There's some abstraction.
But what the hell is still so impressive?
It's beautiful though. Like it's
the shape of the
hair,
nose,
It's not like casual artwork. Like, these are bold creative strokes. They're expressive. Like,
and it's balanced. Like, it's using blue and orange complementary colors. It's putting orange on the strap and orange in the hair. It's like it's using the same kind of like, you know, cool grays with the cool hair. So like it's making some really smart decisions.
It's smart. Yeah, I like it a lot. I put a blurred version there because I was thinking maybe I'll switch it really quickly on Thomas, because otherwise to make it a little more difficult for you.
Ooh.
Yeah, these are some beautiful logo marks. Just general marks, right? But you can start to see that, like, hey, this could start playing into iconography and stuff like that. Graphic design.
Are these human-made or AI-made?
Human or AI? That's the question.
I'll say AI for that one, just because there's a couple weird logos in here that feel like a human probably would have not made. But
I agree with you.
Just that third row on the left, that one braked it for me. Otherwise, I was like, this is like, you know, small thumbnails and like fast ideation.
Star Trek level. Yeah, but like the bird and stuff like that is quite convincing.
Looks like a DJ logo or something.
Yeah. And these are typical marks, right? Now it started getting into like alien language stuff there.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, like this kind of probably can be evolved and improved on by just updating the prompt, you know?
I mean, look at the ideation process.
Yeah, how about this bad boy right here? AI or human? Is this the beautiful work of an AI designer or the beautiful work?
I really want to hope this is not the work of a really good human designer. I hope this is AI.
This is a human that was born into this world, went to art school, practiced his entire life to create this for you.
It does look like there is one like this. There's similar chairs that look like this, but this feels like the coffee thing that you have in Europe where you open it and you get the sugars out.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like that.
Okay, so AI or human?
I would say AI.
Human.
This is human?
Yeah,
human.
Human. So, someone worked their entire life. This is their Mona Lisa.
Create what would you call this? A bubble? Well, we'll have to create a prompt for this chair and try to recreate it on AI. See how much better probably it comes out.
Yeah.
Sorry if the designer of this chair is listening. Doubtful,
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so bad that it's almost good.
The inside looks cool.
It looks comfy.
Concept
it looks comfy.
The outside feels Pretty wild. I guess you can close the whole thing and like close yourself out into a bubble, but
Yeah.
I didn't know. All right.
That's wild. Okay,
Excellent.
cool. AI or human?
I have to say AI.
Yeah, I should make these smaller for you so you can't see the.
Yeah, this
like,
one
the
is a bit. And
tessellation.
it'll need a little bit of refinement and stuff, but there's
Yeah.
like interesting already like little things happening with the lighting and some of the textures, the composition of the house. Like it's built like a full-on mini house.
Yeah. I should also note that this is Dall-E. So this is actually MidJourney typically shows slightly more like.
We'll have to do a pass on.
We'll do another one for
Yeah.
MidJourney because actually I think MidJourney will do a better job
Yeah,
convincing
let's do
you
that.
at this point.
Definitely AI. But it looks like a real like BMW concept from back in the day or something like that. It's super cool.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a 90s concept, right? Like they said like someone in the 90s tried to like 3D render it back in the day or something. Yeah, it's AI. Yeah. You can kind of tell, especially in the seats and stuff like that. It starts
Some of the textures and stuff.
textures a little warped.
That has to be human.
Human, yeah.
Yeah, I would think the AI
Hats off to the human over there and
doing some real sketches.
doing some real sketches. That's right. A little simple 3D cinema work.
I'd say human,
Yeah.
but I would think
AI.
AI did it.
Yeah, AI.
That's
So this is like simple like Cinema 4D work, right? But typically would take a computer 3, 4, 5 minutes.
But again, the lighting and the color choices, the smart decisions, and the cool and the warm.
Yeah.
Like, it's-
Color palette. Yeah, it makes sense. It's impressive. This is a tricky one. I try to trick you with this one. The prompt.
Yeah, because like there's a lot of interesting things going on with the composition,
Yeah.
a lot of like graphic layering and the vector art and stuff. So I'd have to say human, but I could be surprised. I could see AI pulling that off.
I asked AI for a very tacky logo.
And it pulled that off?
And it pulled this off.
Dude, that's not bad.
It's not bad, but it kind of like,
I could see a hair studio.
you know, like when every designer, like you just went through all the Illustrator tutorials, and then by the end of it, you were making stuff like
but
that.
that's what I thought it was.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it looks pretty decent.
Yeah, it looks like
Look at the shape decisions, like it follows the same styles, the flame of the same
It
style
still
as
flows.
and understands negative space.
yeah, it's beautiful.
So like
Yeah.
for something to understand positive and negative space, humans have a hard time understanding it. AI is like, nope, no problem. I can understand what I've seen some
That's
logos
to your
made
props.
where
Yeah.
like negative space is used really well in like logos and stuff.
I would have fallen under the pressure, I think, under this prompt. I would have been like, I can't
cool.
make it cliche and look good, but the AI actually pulled it off. You're right. The more I look at it, the more kind of impressed I am by even like,
Dude, the
swoop.
flame, the flame, the star at the bottom and stuff. It's pretty impressive. It's balanced.
it's still tacky, but
still
it's
tacky,
a good
but
tacky. good,
like-
good job, AI.
There's a lot of junior designers that probably wouldn't be able to pull that off.
Oh no. And if they did, you'd have to give it to them because
Okay.
you'd be like, wow, like at least you got the gradients and stuff
All right.
looking dimensional.
Ooh,
Just
human.
takes you back. AI.
Dude.
Yeah. This
I
kind of
know
looks like some
few
of your
people in
stuff back in the day.
transportation
Huh?
design that designed that way. Like
Yeah.
that looks like Felix Godard.
Clean
like stuff like
renderings.
that's really interesting.
Mark and mark. I love how like they try to trick you with the sketching underneath too.
That's one of my point. Like it did
Yeah.
a collage of sketches with it.
Yeah. It looks like a portfolio piece from your high school days or something.
Wow.
No.
My car design friends out there.
Watch
This
out.
is coming.
Yeah. This is V1 basically. This is the beginning of just a whole new era.
And then wait until companies start like training these tools for their own purpose. So
Oof.
like car design companies or like car design studios start doing it for car design, product design. Like
Yeah.
you'll start architecture firms and like I'm guessing Zaha Hadid and like these really advanced studios are already working. with this.
Architectural firms just
Oh, for
creating
sure.
a bunch of things. Probably like
Then
running
eventually-
simulations on how people would work
I mean,
within those spaces.
they do generative design already, which
Yeah.
is not AI, but like there's a lot of interesting things happening in architecture from the generative design point of view. But now you include some of this, and then prompts start feeding 3D models and stuff. Like you're gonna get to a really interesting place.
Love it, love it. This is a tricky one too, huh? I'm trying to trick you a little bit.
I think this one's AI.
Yeah, you got
Just
it.
because
Give
of
it
some of
away.
the blending of like the towers and like I feel like a human would have made way more deliberate choices around the big shapes around the roof and like stuff like that.
Oh, you got a little sloppy there, AI.
And
Yeah, right there.
yeah.
Huh?
I would think
Yeah.
like these are really high standing elements on the design, so I would think they would be like kind of picture perfect. But other
I
than
feel
that,
ya.
like as a mood illustration, as a small thumbnail, I take this in Photoshop and like touch it up in 10
Oh,
minutes.
yeah,
And I would
easy.
have never been able to create that composition myself or that design myself.
Easy work,
Yeah.
right?
No.
Like I would have spent a ton of time just on like color and like changing up the color and different things like that. I would have like
That's like, yeah.
redrawn this thing 10 times over, and it probably would have looked worse, honestly.
Do
Oh,
one or
brutal.
two more?
Yeah, let's do
Alright.
it. Let's do it.
Human?
This is AI.
Oh my god.
So this is where AI kind of thrives, right? Because there are a lot of imagery like this online.
Little Da Vinci.
Yeah,
actually.
you got Da Vinci, you got all those historical greats that kind of created their own system.
Oh man.
And then so AI is basically able to interpret that system and say, hey, this is like aesthetically what a good eye looks like, and this is what like for that time. So be amazed, like a lot of their kind of historically facing prompts are incredibly accurate.
They're pulling from a lot of like
Yeah.
Google data for sure.
It's a lot less like you don't really see mislabeled Da Vinci paintings.
Yeah.
As like, hey, this is my kid's Mona Lisa, and like it confuses the AI. And now the AI thinks that
The data is pretty clear. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
that doesn't happen as much. All right, let's go to the next one.
AI, I would say.
Good job. I try to trick you
Yeah.
with this. I asked it for like a
That's-
funky graphic design.
But that's something you
Thing.
see on like The Economist, like front page and stuff like that. They do like
Yeah.
images like that of these images. So
That's exactly what I asked for. I asked for like a New Yorker style.
yeah,
like,
New Yorker.
old school.
Yeah, sweet. I mean, that's pretty sweet. It's pretty close. All right, last one, guys. Let's take a
Yeah.
look. Oh man, I want to say humans because you get the little pencils in there and stuff, but I think this is AI still.
Was it the pencil tip that's
No, I think it's like the left perforations on that paper. It looks like they were sketched and not
Oh yeah, there you go. It looks like someone just like
little
marked it.
details, but like it's pretty impressive, pretty like believable.
That's funny. You know, the AI probably thought those holes were just like someone drew them,
Yeah,
and so it tried to redraw them.
you didn't even need them.
Yeah.
it didn't
Yeah,
even need
yeah.
them. Super interesting.
I asked for like bad looking sketches.
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah. This is a tricky one. It's hard to tell.
All right, this is for sure the last one now. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
We're
god.
so close. We'll just finish it off.
You want to finish? Oh, you have more.
Oh, yeah.
All
Whoa.
right.
Just go quick. We'll go quick. What do you think?
You have 10 minutes.
AI argument. These augmented reality glasses from the
man.
future.
AI.
AI. Well done. What gave it away?
Perspective on the glasses, like one glass is like super long on the far side and it's like pointy, and the other side is like not symmetrical. So I just
I agree.
threw it off.
No sloppy.
Yeah,
It would
little
wrap
bit.
the face a little bit better.
Yeah,
But like,
it would just be like.
it's
pointy.
probably referencing a bunch of art students that also have like sloppy construction.
I wonder what those. Oh, I don't know. I wonder what those glasses are inspired by. Ooh, human.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Is it
Yeah, human. Well done. Well done. Human AI.
AI?
This is human. How about this bad boy? Is this cute little dinosaur? A human render
I hope it's AI.
or a computer render?
It's AI.
It's AI.
Yes.
I asked for like a funny rendering of a dinosaur.
Guys, AI is making some pretty. Let's go back to the.
Look
human.
at that cutie.
Look at the human.
Yeah.
So serious and stuff.
serious,
And then you go to the AI, super fun.
Oh,
Look at
yeah.
him.
What up, yo?
People think it's gonna take over the world. It's just gonna take over the world with cuteness.
Oh yeah, it's gonna have a heavy bias, unlike humans, right? Yeah, humans create some weird stuff. Little ID mid screenshot
I
of a
would say
motion
that's
graphic.
probably an AI.
Yeah, AI. Good job.
But like really cool. I mean, I would have to say.
yeah, it's cool stuff. Yeah,
Ooh,
little Nike day.
AI probably.
AI, well done.
I don't know. I couldn't tell on this one. Honestly,
Yeah.
I just guessed, but
It could be a mediocre thing by a human.
I don't know why somebody would backlight like a sneaker like this. You don't even see
Yeah.
the design anymore, but
It's
it's pretty
bizarre.
sweet.
It'd be pretty epic. Well,
Replace
you
that
know
with
what you gotta do? Yeah, you
Lamborghini.
gotta put one of your shoes up there.
Maybe.
You
Or
know?
Lamborghini, a little Lamborghini or something. Like
Yeah.
sunset. That'd be sweet.
That's it. Well done.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
So pretty challenging. Like I think this proves the point that it's pretty challenging and it's hard to tell difference. This was just with playing with Dall-E and not really refining the variations. But we've shown you on the community what people have been creating, and it's becoming really hard to like tell if it's AI or not.
It's tricky. It's tricky. And then keep in mind too, like you have a pretty you have the eye, right? You went to art school, you did all these different things. Like we
Most
play in the
people-
space. Most people cannot tell. Like most people are not looking at these illustrations or like especially like the dinosaur and stuff like that and being able to decipher some of those like little nuances.
Yeah.
Um,
It's about to get crazy because like I mean deep fakes, all these other things that people are gonna start creating with this work.
Yeah.
As well as like new world, new universes that we've never thought of. So
yeah.
a lot of really exciting work to be done out there. A lot of like intelligent platform building is going to have to come from both of these big players just to combat the biases that their data sets have. But I think there's going to be a lot of interesting things that people are gonna come up with in the next few years. So let's keep an eye out. Sho, which for you was the leading platform so far for you to use it in your own workflow?
I wanted to do a shout out to Saiful. We should get him on the podcast, but he's doing some really good stuff with the deepfake.
We have a few people. We have a few people that are like kind of on the frontier and cutting edge of these.
Should I tease him, or should I leave it to?
Let's leave it.
Tease him a little bit.
You can if you want.
Okay, so this is. So I'll do a really quick teaser for our buddy Saiful, who also went to Art Center. We kind of graduated with him. But you can see how this is using deepfakes or AI essentially to essentially live overlay somebody. But it's not using like a motion capture suit or anything like that. It's able to kind of blend those two worlds. So it has like the image data, but the AI is able to play within that image data. So just in the same way in Dall-E, you can upload an image and have like the AI kind of like create something. You can create like real life avatars and stuff like that.
This is going to be crazy in movie making soon. Like you won't have as much post-production special effects and all these things. Like this is industry changing for sure.
So essentially like this is a UHF corporation. You guys should follow them on Instagram, but they're doing some really cool stuff in terms of how you can take this technology and tell stories and do really cool things. I'll let Saiful kind of like talk about this more.
We'll have him on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll have him on the podcast more. But you should definitely check these guys out as well. They're doing some really cool things. But blending those two worlds, essentially.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So Dall-E or MidJourney, what do you think is the most powerful tool that you'll be using in your own process?
So I think that, we already use OpenAI quite a bit. And then we utilize the API and different things like that within our tool and what we do. And then so we'll probably continue to use Dall-E just because of the fact that, we can kind of train it on our own data set. We can be more specific to what we're trying to do. But for just like creating artwork right now.
If you're just starting,
like, and you're just getting used to prompts, like you still need to have a community to tell you kind of how to structure things and how to create good output. MidJourney is the way to go.
MidJourney seems like the way to go.
I still play around with it. I'm still like stalking the prompt design and different things like that, and learning a lot. It's fascinating the amount of inspiration. Dall-E doesn't compare to MidJourney in terms of the amount of amazing creative output that's happening through MidJourney. But Dall-E hasn't really marketed it that way.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think they're both going to scale quite rapidly. MidJourney, through their big Discord community now, is probably going to scale much more rapidly than we see Dall-E doing it.
Yeah.
But exciting stuff ahead. So for all
who
of
knows,
you guys,
right? The right corporation.
Just want to get going and experience this. Go to Dall-E and check out MidJourney. We'll put some links below. Let us know if there's any prompts that you want us to run, or if you're finding any really exciting artwork, and share it with us. And make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Thank you all.
And watch the Brand Royale connected through Dall-E and MidJourney. You'll learn a lot more about both of them.
Yeah, this is fun. We got to do this again. Thank you all. Bye.